Here I am, Leon C., aka Morpheus. Got a very unique video that's for everyone, for all ages. It may be even be for the religious. Okay? This video I took some time to develop, to think about, and to answer your questions. Okay? It's for black people, it's for white people, could be for Chinese, for Mexicans, for as many as possible. Okay? Because this is for your empowerment. You should like it and subscribe it, because I guarantee that you're going to get something out of this. Okay? This is not a video that's made, okay, for any other purpose but to give you some power as a tool to help bring yourself up in your society, in your environment, to give you something to think about. So before we get this started, as Morpheus, I am going to begin by giving you your red pill that you are anticipated, especially for you, my constant followers and supporters. I'm going to give you that red pill right now. And as I always do, give myself one as well. As I have promised, I'm going to say this on the often with these newer videos, that things just don't happen. Okay? And on top of that, with this video, before I get started, like the prologue of a book, I'm going to add in addition to say that experience is the key. Experience is a mastery of success. To experience draws the line on a lot of things. You can go through school all you want to all year round. You can sit down underneath a lecturer all day long for hours. Okay? But the experience of a thing, okay, is a lot more effective than just simply hearing or studying from a book. Keep that in mind as we get into this rabbit hole. Okay? I'm going to answer my emailers, and through that, the studies will begin. Through the emails, as I have promised, to enlighten and to be the amplifier of your questions. With that, as a team, my American family, will be used to broadcast the lesson. And it might be a lot of flipping paper here, because I did a lot of thinking, a lot of studying, a lot of putting together the proper information to present to you. A lot of this it's going to be a variation of things. There's going to be some religious questions. There's going to be some health questions. It might be some questions on outer things, but they will all tie into a significant value. So you won't be disappointed. Just hang along and you will get what you need eventually. First thing on the question. Morpheus, why are people still blind enough to encourage marriage when the facts are on the table today? State in your own words. Although I have been watching and been a part of Maytow, I know this answer, but it boggles my mind as to so many people today who is still thinking that marriage is the idea. All right, I'm going to make it very short and simple. Again, experience is an important thing. Experience. See, a lot of people have not experienced the dilemma of divorce. A lot of people have not had their hearts broken enough, or their faiths, or their trust, or they haven't been dragged into the court system yet, or enough to learn or to know that generally it's not just one girl doing this. That it is generally, and there's always exceptions to the rules, there's always a white unicorn somewhere, okay? But generally, that it is the lifestyle of the American people today. It is the construct of relationships today. It is the idea of getting a benefit from the marriage or the relationship today that person will comprehend. Let me give you a small story. I had a conversation with a gentleman just the other day, and I was actually tutoring a lady about a certain situation that she was going through in her life, okay, and giving her some advice and helping her and talking to her about education, about college, about funds, about what could be this, what could happen there. Then we began to talk about, I think it was a place where we began to talk about a person was messing or bothering her that she felt uncomfortable about. Okay, so I began to talk to her about that, and we made a joke about it. And another person came through. It was another male who came through while I was speaking to her, and I made a joke, and she said, the guy said, who's messing with her? And I made a joke and said, oh, she's messing with me, man. I'm tired of this. This girl's causing a problem for me. You know, just joking, right? And the gentleman at the time, he said, oh man, that's all right. That's what girls do. You know, that's the place. You know, we deal with that. You know, we have to be in a position where we have to please them and make them happy. I'm like, and I said, oh really? So I thought you was on my side. You're gonna all of a sudden be on her side, even though I'm telling you by even playing that she's a problem for me, but yet you're gonna be on her side anyway. And he said, well, yeah, that's the place of us men. We are here to please women. And listen, my American people, I stood back for a second. Knowing Morpheus, I study. I don't assume. I ask questions. I don't assume. I figure it out. I don't assume. So studying doesn't mean that you're just reading a book. Study means you sit and you watch the evidence. You see it for yourself. So the first thing I did was think about and recap the story of his life. Okay? And the things that I know about that person. Okay? Then I began to remember by looking at something that was shining on his hands. Right here. Okay? So he had a wedding ring on at the time. And I was reminded immediately that they are in a relationship. You know, they're married themselves, okay? And they're in a marriage where they are thinking. So here's what I'm telling you, why I'm telling you this. I know for a fact that he himself have not experienced in the same question that you might have as to why they still think it's a good idea. Why men are talking about you should only please her. You should make sure that she's happy. If she's okay, you're going to be okay. Happy wife, happy home. That sort of blue pill beta mentality. Okay? But he's in that same situation. He doesn't know. Okay? And it could be a variation of however you feel in your marriages or their marriages, that he's a person that's on a leash. And he don't comprehend until it happens. When he studies and begin to comprehend that it is not just it's not an individual girl thing. It's a construct thing. It's an American failing mentality of women today, okay, who have a sense of entitlement because men like him, who are in the millions, are constantly saying, I need to put a smile on her face. As long as she's happy, everything's okay. It's our task, men, to serve her. Okay? So as we teach, as I show you all the time, the game becomes rigged you become abused men. You become the pack dog men. You become the horse with the saddle on your back men, because you are programmed to think that your whole life should be based on pleasing her, even if it's at your disadvantage. My young gentlemen who have emailed me, okay, the reason that a lot of guys or people may think that marriage is the ideal way to go is because they have not experienced the truth yet. What I tell you in the beginning of the video, experience is the key. Most times people have to experience a series of the same thing before they begin to realize, oh God, there's a problem here. Yes, there is. Then through the series of figuring out the problem, research, okay, and comprehending that, hey, maybe it's the marriage itself. Maybe it's the system. Maybe it's how women are being raised. Maybe it's the sense of entitlement, and on and on and on and on, and the feminist and all this kind of thing. Okay. But that means they have to suffer first. So a lot of gentlemen and people have not gone down that path yet to experience the facts. Okay. People like that, you just want to just say, okay, pat them on the shoulder and say, okay, keep on living. Eventually you'll figure it out for yourself. Okay. So it's not that it's not about wrong or right. Okay. It's just, they don't know. They haven't did the studies to comprehend that they are actually in a dilemma. Okay. And we're going to go further into that. I want you to keep all these things that I'm saying in mind, because I'm going to tie these in to an acclamation that's going to give you a simple resolve, and it's going to help you. Just keep these small things in mind. That has a lot to do with you neglecting yourself as a man to know that you are valued. You are alpha. You are important. Okay. You are an asset to the world. When you are walking, when you are doing things, the world should appreciate you for who you are. Okay. But the reason why men are programmed not to think that way, okay, is because they don't comprehend that they are not serving themselves. They're just serving others and neglecting themselves, which causes them to think that, oh, marriage is the way, and don't really know what marriage is, or don't know the definition of it, or don't know what it's consistent of, or don't know where it even came from. They just do it because mommy said so. Okay. And some of them also, they're the ones that say, well, you're just supposed to just grow up, get a good job. No, grow up, go up, get a good education so you can get a really good job, so you can raise a family, so you can be a daddy and a mommy, and that's it. There's a lot of people that have that forward mindset where it's just so clean cut and so simple, but yet so dry at the same time. Why is it dry? Because they're not in between. They're no longer, how could I say this without being disrespectful? And I'm not just human. They're no longer a sensible individual of life. They just go by the program because that's what everybody expect, because that's what you are taught to do, because that's what the society says for you to do. Even though every step of the way it's rigged. Even getting up to go get a good education, it's rigged there. Trying to go find a decent job, it's rigged there. Finding you a decent woman who's going to be loyal, who's going to be decent, who's not going to be a car with high mileage, it's rigged there. Okay. Then rigged when it comes time for you to find yourself. Keynote, find yourself. Keep that in mind. All right. Next question that I'm going to answer, my American people. Now I can write that off the list. I go through a lot of pens. If you notice, sometimes there's white pens, there's blue pens, because I do a lot of writing. So here's a new pen. So I just got this big thing of pens, so I have to get rid of it because all this writing ink. Okay. Leon C., aka Morpheus. If blacks ruled the country overnight, what will happen? That's a very good question. I didn't do a lot of studies on that on purpose. Not say I don't know what's going on. Meaning I didn't do a lot of writing dialogue to this because I wanted to be as honest and forward as possible, because there's lots of ways I can go with this as if I was in an interview. Okay. But I'm going to put it very, very simple. first of all, the channel is not based on black and white. Of course, most people know that. They know Morpheus, that this is the empowerment of America. It's a complete circle of good fulfillment for every single person. Okay, but to be honest, to answer your question, since y'all put me in the hot seat as I usually do, okay, I do my best to answer your questions with honesty. Now I'm gonna have to turn this heat on because it's getting kind of cold now. Just a little bit. I turn it off. So if you hear a little noise, then I'll change it if it gets too loud for you. Okay. What you do now, listen. What you do now is what you will do if you are endowed with power or position. Okay? The effects, it's like this. How can I put it? And it's a correlation to my other video, talking about how when we are looking for heaven versus how we are living our life here today, where heaven will be the same way as what we are doing here on earth. That's the same if black people themselves. And I know what they probably think, oh man, I'll be ruling this, I'll be doing. No, this ain't about my opinion. This ain't Morpheus's opinion. This is things where you can sit down and figure out for yourself, okay? And yes, I would love for my people, or you can say my brothers and sisters, to escalate, to do what they can, to be successful and whatever. My hands is free. That means if I can do something, I would. That means if I was in a position to change things and help things, I would. But I am by doing what I'm doing now. But here's the facts. How we are treating each other, that has to do with every culture, every person, even every animal in the animal kingdom. What we are, as you are looking at this video, as you are listening to me and my voice, what we are doing right now is what we will be doing if we was endowed with power. That should answer your question. So if we are unified right now, we will be unified then. If we're not unified right now, if we don't have our stuff together now, if we are petty, if we are creating a problem with each other now, if we are creating petty differences and are not being successful in our own world at home right now, okay, if we get endowed with money, or if there was a lot of franchise, a lot of power, infrastructure, okay, it will be the same thing. But for some people, it might be worse because that'd give them more power, more energy, more initiative to do the wrong things, if that makes sense. But people who do have the ability, no matter what race they are, to do right, they will do right with the little bitty things that they have. When they are giving more, they will do even more. Like I myself, all I could do to help my American people is do what I am doing right now. All I could have done was write that book that I have for you called 2020, America Rise or Fall Hard. This is all I could do right now to give information to help you, because it starts up here first before you are able to take it into your life and rise up. Okay? So that's doing what I can with this little bitty thing. So Morpheus, what are you doing? I am doing something. But if I had the ability to do more, then I would, to help the American people and to teach and to install and to show you and to be the teacher that I am. Okay? But the issue is, we do have the ability, a lot of people, cultures around the globe have the ability to do something. But because of the lifestyle generally of American people, because we are already segregated, because we already have petty differences, because we are disenfranchised, usually, not all the time, usually because of our thinking and how we treat one another, okay? If you give that group of people who aren't doing anything now and they have the ability to do something, okay, what makes you think they're going to do something then? Okay, you'll end up in a situation, but probably worse. That's not an opinion, it's facts. That has nothing to do with Morpheus's opinion. It has something to do with what we're doing right now. Just the same as you can, or any of you who are watching this video, if you're at home, you're like, okay, what's going on right now? What's going on right now? Then you'll figure it out. What's going on right now is what will happen then. If you're going to do good now. You'll do better when you're able to do better. You got it? Next. Dear Morpheus, or should I call you Leon C? Like the name, by the way, you deserve it. Okay. In the biblical text are other religious texts. They speak as if they know what God is thinking. How is this? Okay, I see what he's saying. I see what they're saying. They're saying that in most religious texts in the Bibles, they are saying that these people who are in the Bible are acting as if they are speaking for God and they know what God is thinking. So they will talk to you as if they know what God is thinking. And the pastors begin to do the same thing. Okay? Morpheus is going to give you some power today. Ask yourself one question, my American people. Who's the narrator? Who was the narrator in let's just say the Christian book called the Genesis in the beginning? Who's the narrator to watch Adam and Eve in the garden? Who's the narrator to talk about what happened to John the Baptist and Noah's Ark? Who's this narrator? Think about it for a moment. Who's the narrator? Okay. What happens is when you have a narrator, some of y'all are going to get it eventually. It makes it feel as if it is real. It makes it feel like it's actually happening, like right now. Okay. And I'm going to go even further. Okay. Because they're keeping. Okay, when you are able to speak at that level or feel as if you're speaking for God in the now and thinking that you are speaking for a situation, whoever this narrator is, whoever it is, okay, it makes you feel as if it's real, okay, and at the same time, it builds a psychology in your mind that keeps the memory, a made up memory, alive. It's keeping that memory, which is made up, alive, where so many years later today, we can still preaching and we're still talking about it as if it happened yesterday. Okay? And I'm going to add this to it. That's the same as if you have somebody who passed away, or a loved one, or any good person from the past that you want to remember. When you talk about them in the now, it makes it feel like they're still here with you. It makes you feel like that you are with that person. They are with you. Okay. And that's a psychological thing. And that's not bad, because most times when people pass away, you want to remember them. You want to remember them. You want to remember their ways and their good thing. You want to remember the prosperity that they have produced or helped for the society. You want to remember that. Okay. So by keeping a person's memory alive, okay, it makes it feel like that they are right there with you, which that's not a bad thing. But with the context of religion, or you can say the Bible, there is a psychology in it that people have done and didn't know that they were doing it. They were just going by their human senses, because the average human is amazing. The human species can do great things. Y'all can do amazing things. Y'all mean just this being the supercomputer up here. Y'all are capable of building a perception of the world that's so unique, because y'all are created from the ultimate mind of the universe and the greater aspirations that you may call God. So y'all able to do that on a piece of paper. So it makes you feel like it's real. It makes you feel like it's happening right now. But you still got to go back to the basic thing, saying, who is the narrator? Who's the narrator? Okay. It's somebody who decided to go like this and say, here, God wrote it. Instead of y'all thinking and saying, no, 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 you wrote it. Like my book, for example, 2020 America Rise and Fall Hard, okay? I'm the author, Leon C. Okay? I'm the narrator, I'm the creator at the same time. So if a writer in any book, Shakespeare, or I don't think Shakespeare wrote books, he probably did, I'm not sure. I didn't get into the Shakespeare thing. But Steven Spielberg's, Danielle Silva, or Stephanie McCombs, I think, and I can keep going. Anyway, the author writes a story for you. They write things for you to feel like you are involved into the story itself. Okay? So you feel like this is actually happening, and you get enthralled into it and not try to figure out who the narrator is. Once you start figuring out who is this narrator, who is talking for God, who is thinking for God, okay? But the pastors or preachers would tell you, oh, this was a prophet from God who was speaking for God and with God. Okay? If I was God and I wrote this book that most of y'all are reading now, okay, are getting ready to get, okay? Why would the words itself in the book be someone who's, oh, this is just the word of God? No, why would not I present myself and say, no, I wrote that? Why would I need you or anybody else to try to explain my book that I've written? Why would I need you to do that? Why would I need to say, okay, this is my words that I'm giving to you, right, in this book. And then all of a sudden, a pastor or somebody who's trying to represent Leon C. comes into the scene, right? And say, Leon C. said this because it's supposed to be this. And Leon C. said. Eventually, y'all going to get pissed off and say, where's Leon C.? Why are you here representing Leon C. and Leon C. is supposed to be God? Okay, you'll be like, why are you speaking? Why am I coming to you for what Leon C. is saying? Why not go to Leon C. himself? Do you understand? Because Leon C. is the narrator. Leon C. was there. Okay? None of you, listen to me carefully, none of you, nobody was there when I wrote the book. I was there. Okay? But when you read the book, or if there was a story in it that was about something that happened, okay, it will make you feel as if you are involved in it, but you have to think for yourself, who's the narrator for this book? Okay? You are already past the point, listen, of ignorance already. When you start reading the book and you don't ask yourself, who is this narrator? Most movies tell you who the narrator is. Most books say, oh, the narrator is, or if you read a sound movie, an audio movie disc that they still have, you put in a disc, and they'll tell you who the narrator is. Okay? If most people have to tell you that the narrator is inspired by. Yes, several of you can be inspired by my book. Sure you can. Okay? Yes, there will be some I can inspire, but when you are inspiring the average person, okay, you're going to get a different twist and a different avenue. You're going to get a different story, and you're going to present it differently than what the author, myself, would have decided. Now, this is what I'm going to give you as a gift to my American people. Okay? Study the counterparts of what you're studying. What that means is study what you are studying and ask those questions. Who's the narrator? Okay? Once you get that, you'll get your answer. It's as simple as that. Study the counterparts. And you'll begin to realize no one can truly speak for God. No one can truly do that. Okay? Eventually you'll start saying, where? Next answer. You're trying to put me in the hot seat. Brother Leon C., my brother from another mother. Why can't Christians debate on a general basis? Okay, I'm gonna answer it very shortly. Again, this ain't for, a battle. It's not trying to start some scuff. It's not hatred. It's just simple conversation. Because they will have to debate from the Bible. Anything outside of that. There's a text in the Bible that says, lean not unto your own understanding. Okay? Meaning that you don't lean on your own understanding, but you have to just focus your attention on what the biblical text is saying, or whatever book that you're talking about. For the lack of this long conversation, it's like this. Most times when I'm talking to you, there's not a book in front of me. There's writing in front of me from me that I wrote. Okay? Your job, listen, is to go like this with the world. The world tells you, do this, learn that, go to school. You're supposed to work every day. You're supposed to get this married. You're supposed to do that. You're supposed to do like this. You are actually supposed to go like this. Okay, I hear you. I hear you. Yes, I hear you. And you go like this. Okay, let me think about it. Yeah, okay. All right, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go like this and write down, scribble, think about, and now I'm going to present my interpretation. That's what you are supposed to do. That's the only task that your existence or God have given you. Okay? When you are able to do that, when you are debating, okay, you're usually going to debate from a sense of fact, not because what the book say. Even if the book says something to you that may be relevant, you will use it as a reference, yes. But you will be able to go like this and say, you'll sit down, you'll have your hands free, and you'll begin to say, I said this way. I understand it from this position. I see it from this position because of this. If you begin to, like many religions or Christianity, as you may say, if you begin to do that, and you put the book away, you put the scriptures away, and you begin to stand up on your own 2 feet, you begin to become accountable for your knowledge. You begin to chastise yourself if you're wrong. You will begin to correct what you will naturally begin to figure out doesn't line up or contradictory. When you begin to do that, you will start falling out of religion, because you'll begin to realize that religion is a box, that it limits you in this circle. By you putting everything aside and being free to be yourself and say, I think this way because I feel this way, and because I study this and I think it's like this because I know it to be this way. That way the person has a chance to talk to you. Okay? If you are going like this, I'm talking this way because this says, I know this because this says. Well, oh, you want to debate me? Oh, I know this part, but I tell you what, no, because in chapter such and such says, now you're hiding yourself. You're going like this. You're not being the real you. You're not so sure. You're not confident. You're like this because you hide behind a book. Because if you are forced to go like this and really be yourself, you'll be held accountable to find the facts. And you'll be held accountable to think for yourself. Now we're going to go a little bit deeper for you, my people. I'm going to take a drink on this because I'm getting ready to go in. I'm going to tell you a story. And I wrote down the story here. It actually happened. And I'm going to tell you my twist on it. I had a conversation with an older lady. Okay? And reading down here her statistics, I wrote down here in very simple words, it's like this. I'm starting over at the age of 50. I've been married. I have 3 kids. I am alone often. I get very stressed and I'm very sensitive, and sometimes I am depressed. I sat down in a conference with this person, and I call it conference, but it's more of advice and just speaking to them and helping them. I'm not a psychologist. I don't practice that, even though I've studied it. Okay. I'm not a doctor, as I always tell you, but I've studied it. I've been doing all that. But I am always in a position to help. I'm always in a position to just sit back and just go like this and let that person pour their feelings or their thoughts out. Okay. And I'm able to give them a solution. This person was so distraught at the time and so confused, where they were once upon a time a Christian. They were taught as a child certain things that I had to study. I took time to figure out this person's personality and their lifestyle and their past. And it relates to a lot of you. This is why I said this video is for you. This video is for everyone to at least think about. Even though in the beginning there's some emails there, but let me get back to the story. The good thing was I was able to give that person some direction, but I had to break it down to them, and it took a couple of hours to do so. And it turned out to be a therapy session more than anything else. But the success was that they were able to find the reality, but very, very much at a time in their life when everything was already said and done. Now, let me break this down to you. Most of you are, I'll put it like this: the society, the world. The title of this part of the video right now is Why I'm Called Morpheus. This title now is called The Machine World, and I'm going to take you there right now. You are taught as a child. Listen, you are studying as a child. You are forged as a child. You are modified as a child. You are programmed as a child to do certain things. But there is one major part of you that is missing for a good reason, but it's also for a devastatingly bad reason, according to this person that I had to speak to, because it's coming often. Listen, my American people, this is not the end of 40, 50, 60-year-old people who are now developing out of the feminist movement, out of the American construct of thinking today, out of the deceptions of the churches and religion. They are just now coming out from the, what do you call that? From the plantation. And now that they are away from the plantation, they're so much more older now. They have spent so much time and energy in the plantation. We're going to transform this plantation to the machine world. I'm going to show you through words. Okay, so don't be disappointed if you don't see, animations up here. Even though I could, I'm not going to do it right now. Imagine now in your imagination, this is the machine world. And I am Morpheus. And I'm going to show you some things. The first thing that you are taught as a child or as a teenager when you are growing up, okay? I'm going to show you certain forms to help you, because that's what I want for you, my American people. School is the first stage of putting yourself off. Your family is another stage. Let's go back. School is the first stage because you're a child right now. You're growing up. Okay, work with me. I want to get this right because you are important, so I want to get you right. School is your first stage of indoctrination of the machine world. Okay? Your churches become the next stage of your indoctrination and putting yourself off. Then for most people, out of school, out of church, comes work and career. Of course, you have your simple jobs that you're just working every day for a corporation. Some people working at warehouses, some people are working at FedEx, some people are just working from every day, whatever job they can get. You know, they're doing whatever blue collar they can give to them, or even white collar, okay? They're just working every day, which takes, on a general basis, 8 hours out of your day, sometimes more, overtime. That's another form of putting you off and stalling you. You got bills, you're juggling in a bad economy, okay? Or in an economy where products and fuel and other items are being inflated. Then you have your career, which keeps you to be accountable, which adds more to your day, which adds more responsibility to you, which creates a further distance between you spending time with you. And out of the ashes, between probably in the middle of it, while you're sitting there with your career and your job, or sometimes fresh out of college, sometimes you'll meet that person in college, and then you'll just go from there, from the age 17, 18, or whatever else, whenever you decide to graduate in your 20s or something like that. You begin to build up whatever comes first, which may be either spouse or family, having a child, or getting married to that one person. Believe it or not, they are also a distraction, yes, from you, although you may think to a degree that it's the thing to do. There's nothing wrong with it. Yes, we do need to procreate to help America. Yes, we should come together as husband, boyfriend, and be together, or just unify. Forget the marriage, okay? But the problem is, you're still putting you off because relationships require time. It requires effort. It requires you having yourself together before getting with somebody. But you notice most people, they get together anyway, and they are not fully developed. Okay, so that's why the relationships crash and become woefully deficient. Okay? Then you have the family, which is brother, sister, mommy, daddy, or even the family that you may create on your own, where you are constantly needing to take care of them. You're constantly the responsible breadwinner. Are you the responsible adult or parent of that family in which you are either providing for, or trying to protect and trying to keep, or trying to balance, or for some of you trying to get back? All these indoctrinations and systems, all these things, every last one of them that I said, even if there's exceptions to the rules, you can find yourself in between there. You can develop time for yourself during your relationship with someone if you tell them, okay, I got, this couple of hours on the weekend, and you spend time with yourself. During the development of school, but you can't do that as a child. You're still trying to figure out what this world's about. You don't know what's going on in the world when you're at school. When you're sitting down in the college atmosphere, when we were sitting there, okay, we're listening to the professor. Okay, we're going through our subjects. We're trying to build up ourselves. We're trying to build up whatever type of career that we were interested in. Okay, you don't have time to be studying you when you're trying to study something else. We're trying to study psychology. We're trying to study to be a doctor. We're trying to study anatomy. trying to study, trying to be a counselor, and all this and everything else you're trying to get into, trying to get your doctorate and whatever else you're trying to get, PhDs. Okay? But the one thing that is put off the most, again, is you. You haven't came first at all. What was you developing the whole time? You was developing what is around you. The finances, the house, the schooling, the proper educement, education, okay? And the proper spousery, because you don't want to be alone, you need to be with somebody because that's what they tell you to do. Okay? With this person, they have come too late. Meaning by the time you get a chance to retire, or when you begin to find yourself like this lady here, it's no different than the girls that say, I'm going to go out there and chase a career. And then all of a sudden I want to find me a good man after I spent like time in the office setting. All I had was boyfriends for the weekend, but I never settled down. But at this particular time in her life, she's finding herself, but at the end of the rainbow. And it's not exclusive to her. This is what's happening to almost everybody. Why is it happening to almost everybody? Because it's just like that man who was married talking about, yeah, we are here to service women. That's what we do. We are here to service them. And if they're happy, they're happy. Until he's divorce raped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different times, depending on how many times he wants to get married, to find out that there are two broken people trying to come together, which creates an entire broken unity, because you two broken people. Can two broken people help the broken person? Sure. If they have the right mentality, if they have the right instincts, which is what we have been losing. We're going to go further with this. I learned something. Let me help you out. In the biblical text, there are words only of, you could say, wisdom, depending on how you perceive it to be. Or it could be something significant based on how much you believe. They said a thing that I would never forget. It says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you. In some translations, it says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things will be added unto you. These things, they were talking about gifts. They were talking about riches. They were talking about, growth. Okay? But what they were truly trying to do, and which most of you should comprehend, is tell you. Okay? In their translation, there's like, they needed you to be consistent, to seek first the religious concept of the kingdom of heaven, which is made up by their concept of heaven and hell until you die. That's what they really meant, if you want to really break it down in layman's terms. I translated it as a child something totally differently, which I thank the real creator in the universe for helping me to do so, which is why I'm able to deliver unto you these rare pills, which is why I have become Morpheus, how I transform. Okay? Because when I heard that, when they said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things shall follow, all these things will be added to you, whatever the translation may be, for whatever book you're reading. Okay? I configured that over a series of self-research to say, seek yourself out first, then everything else will be added unto you. So, in so many words, I wrote down here, I sought myself out first before the career, school, the learning, training, the house, the spousal, and everything else. Because that is the foundation of how all those things will be stable. That's what's first and foremost. That's what makes a boss out of you. That's what will make you to be a solid individual, by you knowing who you are as an individual, by putting yourself first. The machine world wants you to put the machine world first, then you last. Machine first, you last. Career first, your personal life last. Marriage first, figure out what marriage is all about last. You understand? Having a wife and a spouse first, figure out what it means to be a spouse and a wife first. Go to this indoctrination camp, this slave plantation first. Work until you are almost dead, and then all of a sudden figure out who you are. But by the time you figure out who you are a washed up, rusted machine that can't be no longer used. Did you understand what I just said? Did you hear what I just said? The machine world of the concept of the programs that we evolve ourselves with, if you study it the way that it is trying to broadcast and advertise itself, is trying to tell you to put vanity first, to put nonsense first, to put all these things that have nothing to do with you first. Then, after the storm is over, after you are used up, after you are no longer productive, after you are old, after you figure it out, after a series of experiences over and over again, after you get done running into the brick wall 100 miles an hour over and over again, now the machine world says you can be free. After I use you up first. Getting on to this next email. This story is not over. Someone asked me again, and I guess they figure because I'm black, I should stick with black studies, which I can comprehend. I understand that. But I have to answer just as honestly for anybody else who would email me. But it's not a harsh question. It's okay. We can deal with it. They asked me this. And I understand. I'm going to get back to it. Why still, Mr. Morpheus, is there so many blacks that don't understand that they need unity? That kind of throws the story off a little bit, but I can tie it in. It's called instincts. We are losing our instincts, not just as a black race, as most Americans are losing their instincts. Let me tell y'all something, and it's gonna be in my next video. Anticipate it. I'm gonna tell you what it is before I even because I already have it in my mind. Okay? I'm going to tell you exactly what that video is. I'm going to give you a heads up so you can look out for it. It's called programmed elimination. Okay? Be looking out for it. In programmed elimination, I'm going to tell you about how your instincts are being destroyed. That has nothing to do with race or culture. It's happening to everybody. It's happening around the world. It's happening in such an encroached way where you are unaware from. But I'm going to blend some of that into your answer. Instincts. A lot of brown skin or black people who aren't, you can say, aware, who isn't conscious, who don't understand today that unity is important, who says I can do it all by myself, who wants to be separate. You know, you got these ideas where they want to integrate with all races, which there's nothing wrong with that, but do everything but not take care of what's going on at home with their own people or their own race. Here's the thing. Because the instincts is not there. You know, some of you don't understand what instincts is. Now I'm going to break it down in program elimination. Okay? It's not a cultural thing. It's not. It's not about being simply black or simply white or simply Mexican. It's being aware of knowledge. It's being aware of what's going on in today, into now. A lot of black people have been cut off from the knowledge of the historical facts. A lot of them are programmed today by single parent homes that they begin to think it's natural to be isolated away from what the word unity means. It's not just with them, it's a lot of people around America who's doing the same thing. There's lots of broken families and marriages. There's lots of broken people because they are brought up in today's generation to think that that's normal and it's natural until they need help. They are usually the first people who talk about how we need to unify and help and do this and support. Okay? But yet they have no idea what they're supporting for or how they can support, because they've been so separated for so long. So to answer your question, let me tell you a story. You probably trying to, I don't say too much about my personal business because I'm the messenger. Okay, I'm the teacher, so the teacher just tells you about what the lesson plans are. And this is for everyone. This is not a bias thing. This is for everyone. Okay? When I was a little boy, my parents, just like anybody else's parents, used to give us toys. Okay? There wasn't a lot of black dolls and black G.I. Joe toys that were created, okay, at that time. No, I'm not that old. It just wasn't in the market at that time. There was there, but, you know, even the parents go by what they're programmed to do. And one night, something was strange. And a strange thing happened where I got this G.I. Joe, which was a white G.I. Joe doll. And when I held this G.I. Joe doll in my hand, it just was a bad feeling. Something felt bad on the inside. It just turned my stomach upside. There was something odd about, I didn't know anything about history. I was just like any other child, like just brought up in a certain state, okay, certain town, and here I am, like, I didn't know, but I knew something was wrong. My whole countenance, my whole body, my anatomy was like, wait a minute. It started cringing. Like something's wrong about this. Ever since that day, I never picked up that white G.I. Joe toy. I just put it down like, I'm not playing with that. I stuck with playing with talking toys and trucks and cars. You know, I stuck with that. You know, if I had a G.I. Joe toy, it was the green ones that you have just sitting up at, just little green G.I. Joes that you can just stick on your desk and it just stand there like a statue. Okay? That's a form of instinct that I didn't know I had when I was a child. But I knew something was wrong. I was like, how come I don't like this toy? Why is it making my stomach sick when I look at it? I was thinking something's wrong. Something is wrong. Something's really wrong here. Then as I grew up, I started doing some studying, started figuring things out. Knowledge started coming in. And I said, aha! No wonder. Because my instincts was there. There's a lot of people that they're so far off. Instincts is an intelligence of nature. It's not an intelligence of the book. You can't find it in college. You can't find it through your studies because it's not there. That's what, okay. Instincts cannot be taught. It's something that is within your spirit and your soul. It's within your nature. Like your ancestors from the past is with you genetically. They're with you even though you don't have to read it in a book. They're there because they're already within you. So whatever that positive or negative essence or energy that was there, okay, when you are in your instincts as you should be, you don't need a book to tell you what it is. You automatically know. I know this. I know that. I know this. I know that. I know that. I know this. Okay? The reason why we don't have a lot of geniuses today, or smart people, you could say, or more Einsteins, even though we do, they're just very rare. Okay? Is those natural genetic instincts that's already within them, okay, was bypassed. Okay? It was modified. It was estranged. Okay? To the point now that we are doing things every day. We are functioning every day. Not in the I know, it is in the I need to learn mindset, where we have to be taught who we are by a book. We need to study who we are, because we don't really know who we are by instincts. Morpheus is going to teach you how to get your instincts back, my American people, for all of you. Okay? Because that's what we are losing today. Okay? I have a remedy to help you to get your mind back, to mirror who you are. And it's going to be in that video I just described. Okay? The program elimination. All right? Because you need to know this. So the reason why unity is not there, first of all, again, there has to be an experience of a sort. That means they have to experience what it all means. Sometimes people don't wake up until something bad happened, and then all of a sudden they're needing help. Okay, all of a sudden they need answers. When they find answers, just like the email, now they were in the email, I just spoke to that person, just like that person who's 50 years old who came to me distraught. They found out later in their life. You don't want to find your life late in life, because by that time you'll be thinking, man, I could have did this when I was 17 years old. The machine world doesn't want you to. Add that to your instincts. Add that to what the emailer just emailed me, talking about why black people, or anyone in general, can't unify yet, have less compassion, have less value now. I wrote something down here before I get to that. Because it's what they value. Think about that for a second. Think about it. Whatever you value, that's what you do. Same as the other emailer that says, what would happen if this happens, if we all turn to a president overnight, something like that. Somebody just dumped $50 million on your lap or something, okay? Whatever you are valuing now is what you're going to value then. When people don't do what they should do, that means their values is somewhere else. It's only showing you the real face. Like right now, I can spend this hour and 3 minutes doing something else. I could have been doing something else. I value a lot of things. But what I value as Morpheus, I value the future of America and the future of our children. I want them to know that somebody fought for them today. Black, white, Mexican, Chinese, Indian, Indonesian, I don't care who they are. Okay? If they're here in America and they get this video, okay, it's for them. Because I want the future of America, I want the future of humanity here to be better than what it is. Because we are in trouble. Okay? That's what I value. I value a future for you and your children. They don't have to know me. I want them to know. I want them to feel. I want them to get to the position in their life in the future where they'll sit back and say, somebody somewhere in America cared about me. Dear Morpheus, why is cancer and diabetes on the rise? Some doctors say that diabetes is hereditary. And what real cure is there? Boy, y'all put me in a hot seat, but that's okay. Because I may not have the answer, but as Morpheus, I have a twist. Let me give you something that I wrote down, then I'm going to break it down to you. Cancer is a genetically deep mutation of practice integrating of your biological cells, which then produces itself in your offspring, children. Who then can defy, that is your children, can defy through cell protection, lifestyle, or they can simply accept the genetic bonding. I'm going to break that down in programmed elimination. But I'm going to tell you now in this. The cure is invincible. It's your lifestyle and your intake. Keep that in mind. My take on cancer through my research, through what I have saw and what I know of. The average person is bombarded with a lot of biological chemicals, or you can say chemistry, but biological chemicals, radiation, foods, which you all are constantly taking into yourself. When you digest or ingest and absorb these things on a constant basis, okay, and they will tell you that a small amount of fluoride, which is waste and filth, is good for you. I'm not good for you. They didn't say it's good for you. They said it's bad for you, but you could take that, okay? It would never be good for you. Never, okay? But yet some of you take higher forms of fluoride, in several forms of fluoride, with radiation, with genetically modified food, okay, with fertilizer, with unnatural pesticides, with all these other. So your body is constantly fighting it off. Then you have the interfacing of medications. You have the interfacing with injections, which I'm gonna get to that in the other video, okay? So now your body is undertaking a certain deformation of its cells, where the protective cell that you once have is now becoming broken, okay? Especially with the proteins, okay? So now it becomes infected and on general basis becomes mutated, okay? So with the isolation of this mutation that you have going on in your body, okay, you got several types, which is considered as a tumor, as they call it. And then of course you have the cancer cells, okay, which is not a series that happened overnight. I'm not going to get to the details with that right now, because I know some of y'all are like, okay, all right, okay, Okay, where's the proof? Where's the paperwork for this? Hold on, because it's already an hour and 9 minutes. I'm going too far past my limit as it is. Okay, calm down. I got it for you. Okay, one step at a time. All right. I will get to that in my other video. I'm talking about your children here. We'll talk about the cancer patient later. I'm talking about how it passes on to your kids, and the doctors say your child might have a possibility of getting it from her or from him. Because of this taking of your body's chemistry already being manipulated, or you could say, in simple terms, mutated, or poisonous, or you could say not so healthy if you want to be really simple. What you're producing when you have an offspring anyway is a basic clone of yourself in the form of a child or a baby. Okay? So they themselves with diabetes, let's talk about diabetes now. Okay? With diabetes, it does and it can become a genetic hereditary practice, or not practice, but inheritance. Because it's deeply embedded in your genome. A lot of people are y'all not understanding that it is your digestion, your lifestyle, which becomes a part of this because y'all not listening to Dr. Morpheus. I'm just saying, y'all not listening to Dr. Morpheus. Okay, I hope y'all listen to that other video if y'all concerned about your health. Okay, in the other videos I talked about. Okay. Where when you are constantly taking these things in, it becomes a part of who you are. I told you before, and I'm going to say it again. What you eat is who you are. What you eat is who you are. What you eat is who you are. Can I say it again? What you eat is who you are. When you're taking in these poisons, these unnatural foods, when you're living an unnatural lifestyle, when you are taking in the radiation and breathing it in, oh, I love it. Ooh, radiation. And you bathe in it, okay? Getting on to diabetes. When you're taking in all the bad sugar, okay, when you get the radiation too when it comes to cancer, but when you take it in all these unnatural things, when you take it in the high fructose corn syrup, when you take it in refined sugar, when you eat all these heavy breads, all this heavy yeast, and you got naturopathic doctors, which I'm not, but I could practice to be one, but I'm not, okay, but I have the potential, like I always say. But when you're not listening to people like me and others to tell you that you need to be watching what you eat, you can't eat everything, you can't be everywhere, but because you say, ooh, this tastes good, this muffin has colored sugar on top of it, it has food coloring, it has maltodextrin, it has modified cornstarch, it has all these unnatural things and yellow six and dyes in it, but I'm going to eat it anyway, and I'm going to keep eating it just because I can. And then you begin to awaken up those diabetic cells that are already within yourself. Okay? Or you become a diabetic yourself. Okay? Not only because some people would definitely argue with you. They would definitely argue with you and say, well, my father wasn't a diabetic, my mom wasn't a diabetic, but you're not understanding that it's hereditary. Okay? Cells pick and choose at times as it is becoming a cell length, if you understand. Okay, so everybody's not going to get hit by the bullet. That bullet's going to fly, somebody's going to dodge, and the other person, boom, is going to get hit with it. And the disease, or you can call it a disease, I'll call it a mutation, it's going to say, I choose you. But here's the trick of what Morpheus is telling you. Now, I need you to listen to me carefully because I know I went on a rant. Listen. I'm going to try to block this sun if y'all can't. Like that. Okay. Listen to what Morpheus is saying because Morpheus cares. Remember what I talked about, how the machine world puts you last and tells you school's first, career, or job, get a family, go to church, right? Get a husband, get a wife, all these things. and put you last. Why is this? So you can already be introduced to these poisons. You can already have ate unhealthy for 18, 20, 60, 30, well, who knows? 50 years, right? If your mom and dad knew this already, they could give it to you and say, baby, our family, listen, has a history of diabetes. The doctor would tell you that, right? You need to be careful what you eat. Okay? Because just like, listen, alcohol, that, yes, that can also be hereditary. Yes, if you have an alcoholic dad or alcoholic mom and she has a child, because it's your genome, it's your genes, you can also have the potential to doing that. But here's the thing. Morpheus is going to help you with this. Okay? It's dormant. It's there. But that just means you are sensitive to it. Like an alcoholic. You have a son who you have birth, or a daughter, or whatever else, or even people. Who cares, you know? And once they start drinking, because their parents have did it, because their lifestyle of their predecessors, or those before them, or those who've been around them, most times that's just influence. That's not genetic. Influence, you can break influence. Genetic is a different thing. Their cells are more sensitive to it. That means you have more of a taste bud for it, where you start drinking, you're like, oh, I like this. Oh, you start waking it up. And now you become your father or your mother. Now you become full-blown alcoholic because you woke, and it's hard to break away. So now you're addicted. That's the same when it comes to the diabetes and a lot of other mutations that are hereditary, that are passed down by your genome. Morpheus is telling you today on YouTube, okay, to help you to get that information first before you start having kids, or before they even hit the age of 20. Because you know they're going to get out there, they're going to start, yeah, party time! The cakes, candles, and whatever else they can put their hands on, donuts and sugar galore. All right? Or even, you know, the radiation, the phones, and, oh, you know, they sleep with it. You'll sleep and put the radiation right here. You'll fall asleep and the phone's right here on your face, until your bones start getting sensitive and getting brown spots over here and killing your cells, okay? To get that information first, to say, okay, this is a problem, but it can be stopped if they get the right information. The machine world wants you, mommy, you, daddy, to be distracted, to not get the information, to not comprehend your anatomy, to not comprehend what you are digesting and what you are giving to your child, to not comprehend that this is a recycling door. So that way, by the time you get the information, by the time you realize this, you're 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, or whatever, how old you are, and your daughter's already 36, or your son's already, 24, or whoever else, they are already past the point of certain stages of diabetes. I think the doctors know about what stage that might be, like, class this, the diabetes, certain stages of it, or even certain stages of cancer that has been there, but has been unaware, but over time begin to expand itself through pains and getting tired and however else that might work out. Okay. So that way it can be a consistent flow, okay, of that mutation in continuation. That's why it's important for you to get the information. That's why it's important for you to don't seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all blah, blah, blah. No, seek you first. Okay? That way, when you change your lifestyle and how you are treating your genes and your genetics, okay? When you are having offlings, children, or if they are already here, where you know what you are passing on. Because the genome of the human body, or your genes, basically, is not stupid. What you do now is what you're going to be passing over. But it can be stopped. The foods that you are eating in your lifestyle on a general basis will determine what those children are going to be picking up from you. You understand? And oftentimes we get surprised. We get surprised when the doctor says, oh, you got class something something diabetes, or you have this, or you got colon cancer, or you got breast cancer, or you got that issue, you got that issue. And the other doctor say, yeah, it's hereditary, it's been passed on from the parents, and your family has a history of it, because nobody decided to do cell protection. You say, Morpheus, what is cell protection? What is cell protection? I'm telling you, what you eat and your lifestyle, where you may have what the doctor might say, you might have a high percentage chance of getting this certain family hereditary trait. A high percentage, you got a high chance of it. So basically they're telling you that your cell is very, very, very sensitive to what you take into yourself. Where if you do a certain thing, if you eat a certain thing, if you mess up, as some of us do because we're just failing people sometimes, okay, and you start to go down that reckless path, I actually call it wreckful, because saying less of something means less of. So I say having a wreckful life, or a wrecking life, okay, where you will come across those bad sugars. You will come across those wines and beers. You will come across those radiations and those lifestyles where you just like, I don't care, where that cell breaks down, the hereditary cells protection break down, and it start exposing the hereditary trait of your parents or those that did that before you. So it subjects you to having that within yourself. Some of you think, oh, it's just natural. My parents have it, so I'm going to have it. What the hell? Right? That's what I'm talking about. It's like nobody wants to change this thing to stop it. This is why I said the healing is invincible. When you start changing your lifestyle, when you stop taking in false forms of unnatural, non-biological, non-organic substances, okay? When you stop thinking that you can eat any and everything, when you stop thinking that you can be around all these electrical technology, which I call computers, mind you. Whenever Morpheus says technology, I'm not talking about technical way of doing it, because technical means tech, or a technical way of doing things. Technology is more of a technical way of functioning, where it's complicated or sophisticated. But when I usually say technology, I'm saying computers. Okay? I'm talking about the emanation and the creation of radiation beaming through you and around you at 5Gs. And other foods, other poisons that are actually raised from the ground to be given to you from a fertilizing position or stabilizing position. Mean what they need to produce and to sustain these types of food, to put it on your shelf to last longer. Some of you call it preservatives. When you watch these things, you are actually doing cell protection against what can happen to you based on the hereditary traits of your family. If you start there first, knowing you, knowing your health, knowing your family's traits, knowing all these things as a child, when you practice eating healthy food, when you are practicing watching the right movies and watching TV that are actually teaching you something, not telling you, oh, the advertisement, yeah, here's this certain type of chicken down the street, go ahead and eat it, even though it's packed with MSGs that just might trigger, okay, your hereditary diabetes and you don't know it. Okay, yes, there are triggers in food. I just told you that. And food is also a way to distort your instincts. Do you understand? I told you it's how you digest and what you're doing for yourself. So therefore, you'll go through school, you'll go through learning, you'll go through your careers, you'll go through your family, you'll make a family, you'll get married, and have you first. So therefore, before you start making a family, okay, you'll start comprehending, okay, I need to be careful, and I need to, when I raise this child, they need to know this too. Or when I'm with this husband, or this wife, okay, where we can comprehend our responsibilities. But of course, we know that most Americans aren't responsible. We know that. We know that we just don't have time to think like that. Most of you probably haven't even had time to. This is a long video, so most of you, pause it, turn it off, or something like that. This is too much, because we'd rather go to the movies and watch something for like an hour and 20 minutes. But when it comes to something that might be good for us, it's like, oh, it's too hard. This is hurting my brain. Okay? But this is for your health. So tie that into why I call it the machine world. Okay? You can't get in your mind to say, oh, we're going to die someday anyway. I don't care. I'm already 60 years old. I don't care. I can just eat whatever that I want to do. I can eat whatever I want to eat. I can do whatever I want to do. Okay? It don't matter. I'll let my kids go out there and play, and I'll sit there and watch them, even though I know I should be active with them. Okay? And another thing I want to put before I end this video, y'all have to stop depending on pills to do what your body can naturally do. Okay? Sometimes just getting up, going for a brisk walk will help you. Sometimes going to the gym for at least 30 minutes will help you, grandma, grandpa, mommy, daddy, if you want to be there at your child's graduation. Sometimes, I'm going to say sometimes, most times, I can pretty much guarantee you, okay, you can increase your cell protection. You can increase that percentage that the doctor tells you that you're going to get diabetes or cancer and all this kind of stuff. You can decrease that chance by getting in the gym, get on that treadmill, and let your heart pump, so that heart can get the oxygen through your blood and start plumping those red blood cells and the white blood cells, and get the deficiency going, and your immune system, okay, get all that filth out of your system, where when it's stuck in your derma, it's stuck in your hair, it's stuck all around, you can just, your heart will be pumping to get that stuff going. So therefore, you are actually in physical form to get rid of this thing. You're fighting this thing back. Okay? Because it's not just for you, and it's sad that I have to say this, but doctors can say it too. There's been a lot of kids that were born with deficiencies, and you'd be like, what happened? Why? But well, the daddy is healthy and the mommy is healthy. Okay, why is this hereditary trait reaching all the way down here? Somebody along the way decided, oh, okay, F it, I don't care. I just live my life anywhere I want to. I eat everything I want. And then here you go. That genetic pattern is start going down here, and then it's just, oh, I'm gonna choose, let's see, this person. And then here this child's born, and you're like, what did I do? Okay? So you still have to get in the practice of it. The problem is, a lot of us, we just lazy. Just do something, and then it will all work out. This video is, again, to support y'all by Morpheus, to tell you that you're not a machine. You are a human being with organic responsibilities, and that you come first. Yes, schooling is important. You need to learn something. Of course, yeah, some of you believe in religion and all that great stuff. Okay, fine. Okay. Yes, it's good. You can have a relationship with someone. Okay. But you got to remember, whatever relationship that you get into halves you. That means you got to spend half of your time with them, and you only spend half of your time with yourself. If you get involved in these long-term careers, these long-term relationships, long-term marriages, okay, and you halfway know yourself, when you get in that relationship with them, what makes you think you're going to know yourself completely? And you wonder why relationships fail, because you don't know who you are. Know yourself first before engaging. Then you will know how you will react and how things should work according to your development. That's this video. Leon C., your supporter and your power. You got that book down there, My Connections. 2020 America Rise. or fall hard. Like it, share it, subscribe it, give it to as many people as possible. That way you can have a different understanding and open up your ears and your mind, because you will be surprised. You will be surprised. I'm telling you, you will be surprised how many people they will hear this, or they will hear you, or they will be around doctors who tell them the same thing I'm telling them, and they'll go like this. I don't care. It tastes good anyway. I don't care. You know, oh, until that casket, boom. Because it's not about you at the end of the day, on a general basis. Not if you have kids, it's not about you. If you're going to have kids, it's not all about you. Okay, it's all about what we are doing for them. Because we're passing on something. Do you want to pass on your ignorance and your unhealthiness? What we do has to be for them, and you'll benefit along the way. Remember that. Things don't happen. They are participated. Experience is a lot of things. But the one thing that you don't want to experience is, like I always tell you before, when that doctor tells you, I can't help you. Or when you're 50, 60, 70 years old, and finally you jumped off the slave plantation of the machine world, and now you want to live your life, but you have nothing to show for it. And you want to start your life anew at 50 years old. It's like,